good morning, everyone. I'm Allison O'Toole, the CEO of Second Harvest Heartland, here to report in on the COVID-19 fight in Minnesota at the beginning of our 7th week of response. I am the CEO of Second Harvest Heartland, as you know, where I am proud to serve alongside Teresa McCormick, the Director of Programs, and Lisa Davis, the Senior Vice President of No Kid Hungry, who's joining us today. Thank you both for being here and joining this conversation. I'd like to start off by reiterating the simple truth that people need food to cope with this crisis. There's a lot we cannot control in the face of this crisis, but the one thing we can control is how we handle tough times as a community. We decide if we come together to make sure no one faces this virus hungry. And I am immensely proud of our community and that our community shows up for one another. But I'm also sometimes staggered by how much work is yet to come. We have a dashboard that we'll show you now. Hunger continues to grow, and we're stretching, hustling, and working around the clock to keep pace. Last week, we delivered 1.6 million pounds of food and almost 13,000 emergency food boxes to food shelves. In total, we've delivered over 50,000 emergency food boxes since the outbreaks began. We delivered 80,000 pounds of produce, 80,000 pounds of produce through our 5 free emergency farmers markets last week. And we have 3 more farmers markets scheduled this week in communities throughout Minnesota. Our emergency response, from sourcing food in these tough times to packing and distributing much more of it, is expensive. And so please do what you can to keep us ahead of hunger as best we can so we can keep ahead of COVID-19. We'll turn to our main topic today, which is SNAP. SNAP, or food assistance, formerly called food stamps, is the foundation this whole effort is built upon. A dependable year keeping hunger at bay for 3 decades, 3 generations, SNAP is the bedrock of hunger relief. For every emergency meal delivered by food banks and food shelves, SNAP provides 9. That bears repeating. For every meal that food banks and food shelves deliver, SNAP provides 9. Last year, Second Harvest Heartland distributed 97 million meals in the Heartland. SNAP does 9 times that. And that's why it's so important. And especially right now. With the explosion we're seeing in need, we need to get ready. We have a huge job in front of us to get the big chunk of the population that is newly eligible enrolled in SNAP, and also to ensure those benefits continue to be strong, generous, and accessible. We have a wonderful leader at Second Harvest Heartland, Theresa McCormick, who will now, who leads the SNAP team and who will say a little bit more about that right now. Teresa?
Thank you, Allison. At Second Harvest Heartland, we help people enroll in SNAP, and March was our busiest month on record. So our team connects directly with folks in the community to help them determine if they're eligible for help, and also walks them through the entire enrollment process, answering questions and ensuring that the people who are eligible for this critical lifeline are able to enroll in and access this. SNAP referrals have doubled, with our teams receiving over 2,200 requests for help in the last 2 months. And nearly 3/4 of the meals that were generated through Second Harvest Heartland SNAP outreach were for children. Help was delivered across the state, but we saw that Anoka County, Sherburne, and Blue Earth counties saw the greatest percentage increase in applications. And our volume since the calendar turned over to April has continued at record pace. The thing that we're hearing every day as we're talking to people in the community is that people are scared. Many folks are new to food assistance or needing any kind of support to make ends meet, and they're really looking ahead anxiously to the summer months, understanding that their kids are not going to be able to get free meals from parks or rec programs that may be facing closures. They may feel hesitant to ask for help or really unsure how to navigate or where to even begin to navigate where they can access resources. The truth is, most of us, if not all of us, will need a little extra help during this crisis. By reaching out and accepting the help available, you're not only helping your family stay afloat, but you're helping the community weather this crisis by ensuring that you're well and that you stay well and stay home. We believe it's our duty to help one another, and it's our duty to accept the support of our neighbors when we need it, so we can keep the infections down. We're really all in this together. We had this moment to look back during the Great Recession, and what we saw is that SNAP benefits were increased nationwide, and this boost contributed to reducing the prevalence and severity of poverty, increased employment, and supported local economies, even when the national economy was suffering. The health benefits of SNAP participation have long been recognized, and investing in a program that supports our health and well-being is more important than ever. So for those who are asking, how do I get help? How do I know if I'm eligible? You can get help today. Visit 2harvest.org to find out if you're eligible for SNAP or to connect with one of our SNAP specialists in your area. I shared a moment ago that we saw that many of the meals that were generated through SNAP are supporting kids. We know that SNAP is one of the most effective programs to feed children facing hunger. Second Harvest Heartland is proud to partner with No Kid Hungry in our work to feed more kids through programs like school meals and SNAP. And I'm proud to have Lisa Davis joining us today. Lisa is the Senior Vice President of Share a Strength's No Kid Hungry campaign. No Kid Hungry invests in local nonprofits, just like Second Harvest Heartland, to support the best approaches to eradicating child poverty and hunger. And as the nation, and certainly Minnesota, cope with an explosion of need, No Kid Hungry is sharing national lessons learned about the critical role of SNAP during the pandemic. So Lisa, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thanks Teresa and Allison. I want to start by giving a huge shout out to both of you and the entire team at Second Harvest Heartland. I have the great good fortune to work with anti-hunger partners in all 50 states, and across all of the wonderful organizations we work with, Second Harvest Heartland is definitely a leader, and we learn from you all the time. So thank you for everything you're doing. Since the coronavirus began, the No Kid Hungry campaign has granted over $11.5 million to 454 organizations across our nation that collectively are serving about 4.5 million meals per day. As Allison noted, the need for help is increasing dramatically, not just in Minnesota, but in communities across our nation. And as important as the resources that we are able to provide and others are able to provide as charities, it is only a supplement to the resources that we need our federal government to provide in terms of SNAP, funding for our schools and our community organizations. In just the past month alone, more than 22 million Americans have lost their job, about 13.5% of our entire labor force. And millions of families who just 6 weeks ago were keeping their head above water are now rapidly sinking. In order to meet this new need that has been generated both by the economic and the health impacts of the coronavirus, communities need an array of tools in their toolkit. As Teresa mentioned, one of the best ways to feed families in times like these is by ensuring that they have sufficient resources to safely feed themselves and to take some of the burden off of our emergency food responders. That's where SNAP comes in. In addition to protecting families against hunger and alleviating some of the demand on our overstretched food banks, SNAP also feeds our economy, providing $1.50 in economic impact for every dollar spent, and helping support local jobs, grocery stores, and farmers. But SNAP benefits are low, only about $1.40 per person per meal. That is why we're asking Congress to increase benefits for all SNAP recipients by at least 15%, and to increase minimum benefits from $16 to $30 per month. Another tool that states have at their disposal is pandemic EBT. PEBT is a new program that was created to make sure that kids who are relying on free and reduced meals don't go hungry when schools are closed. It provides their families with the value of those free school meals via an EBT card. States have to submit plans and USDA has to approve them. So far, PEBT is only operational in about a dozen states. We are really pleased that last week, Minnesota's DHS submitted its plan and are hopeful that USDA will quickly approve it and that the state will be very, very quick to implement that program. Minnesota kids have been out of school for weeks now. Their families are facing financial struggles, and these resources are critically important. We're also very worried about summer. In a normal year, and this is certainly not that, nationally only about 15 out of every 100 kids that get free and reduced price meals at school are able to participate in the summer meal program. We are deeply worried that those numbers will plummet even further this year. We need our governors, our state agencies, our advocates to let Congress and USDA know that they need to act quickly to give Minnesota communities the tools that they need to feed kids during the summer. USDA has granted a number of program model waivers that have allowed schools and community organizations to feed kids in different ways. Those waivers expire in June. We need to see them quickly reauthorized throughout the summer months and into September. The pandemic EBT program I mentioned is only authorized through June, through the typical school year, and that too needs to be extended. And so we hope that our elected leaders and state government leaders in Minnesota will weigh in strongly and urgently with USDA and with their congressional delegation about the need to take these actions and to take them quickly so that we don't see an increase in child and family hunger this summer, and that both families and the heroes at our community organizations and school nutrition departments who are feeding kids have the tools and resources they need to keep doing that throughout the summer months. So thank you for having me join you today.
Great, thank you so much, Lisa, Allison, and Teresa. We have some really good questions coming in from our listeners here, and I'm going to start with one from Kate Link with WCCO TV. Hi, Kate. She has two questions. First, I think this one is for you, Teresa. Are you seeing any common demographic trends in those signing up for SNAP benefits in Minnesota? Are we seeing more first-time referrals, young families, formerly two-salary households, now jobless and dealing with food insecurity?
It's a great question, as we have been really trying to understand the trends ourselves. What I would say is that early on, we were seeing a lot of folks who were in the hospitality or service industries, and that made sense in those first early weeks. But now, as we are in our 7th week, we're seeing that that trend is not holding true. It's a much broader number of people who are newly eligible. And as we are seeing such an increase in the number of incoming calls, the percentage of people who are eligible as they're reaching out has actually increased. pretty dramatically in terms of the number of people who are calling us as we screen them are eligible. So it's been a rapid expansion. So those trends that we saw in those early weeks, it's just only continued to widen the number of people who have been impacted by job losses, lost hours in the last 7 weeks.
It's across all demographics, Teresa.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great, fantastic. Another question from Kate, and I think this one should probably go to you, Allison. How are the COVID outbreaks in meat produce processing plants impacting your food donations?
Yeah. Thanks, Elizabeth, and thanks, Kate. Appreciate the question. We are obviously watching this situation very closely. It has an impact on our entire state. And we are deeply grateful for the leadership that Governor Walz and his Agriculture Commissioner, Tom Peterson, are providing during this time. I think they are trying to be as creative as they can. We are in close communication with them as well. It just reinforces something that I have said a lot in these last 7 weeks, and I'm really proud of the Second Harvest Heartland team, as well as the entire Hunger Relief Network. We are problem solving every single minute of every single day. And this is another one that is testing us right now. We will continue to look forward and to try to fill those gaps, to buy more food. Our sourcers are some of the best in this network, in my opinion, if I can brag a little bit. But we will try and stay ahead of it. We're in close conversation. My heart goes out to all the farmers across Minnesota who are facing this horrible decision. And I know the governor and his administration is working to stand up these operations in a healthy and safe way. We will be ready to accept those donations as soon as it is healthy for workers to get back to work safely. And we are also continuing to problem solve and to buy food and source food wherever we can right now to make sure we're meeting the need right here in Minnesota as well. So thanks for the question.
Great. Thanks. And we have a question from Joanne in St. Peter. She wants to know, what are the 3 biggest misconceptions about SNAP, Teresa?
Oh, one of
just a 3.
Yeah,
Great
I would
question.
say that's a fabulous question. I would say some of the misconceptions that we hear from folks is, one, that they're not eligible, that they wouldn't be eligible because they have recently been working, or that they might not be eligible because of other kind of ideas around I'm able-bodied and I maybe was going to school, things like that. And so I would say the best thing that we can do is really make sure that we connect with a SNAP specialist or visit the website toharvest.org. So many people are newly eligible, even with losses of hours. And we want to make sure that folks know that they're eligible. Another misconception that we've heard from folks is that, well, it's not a very big benefit, so maybe it's not something that would really help me supplement. For many folks, we are hearing that it can be a supplement for 2 weeks worth of their food budget, which adds up, especially when we go into the summer months. And with some of the additional emergency allotment flexibilities, that can be an even greater benefit to really help people make it to the end of the month, stretch those dollars, and keep food on the table. So those are maybe the 2 biggest ones that I hear. I'll stop at that.
That's great. Lisa, anything you'd like to add from the national perspective? Do a little myth busting here.
Sure. One of the most heartbreaking misperceptions that we hear a lot is from seniors who think that there is a finite sum of money, and so if they get benefits, it might mean that a hungry family or a hungry child isn't getting benefits, and so they don't apply. And that's not true. One of the greatest strengths of SNAP is that it is designed to expand when economic times are bad and then contract as our economy recovers. And so our seniors can get benefits, our families can get benefits. It isn't one against another. So I'd really like to clear that misconception up so that everybody that needs SNAP is able to participate in the program.
Excellent. Thank you so much. A question from Josh in St. Paul. It's twofold. What is the income floor for qualifying for SNAP? Is that different than it was pre-COVID-19?
So for income eligibility, we've got a great tool on toharvest.org, so you can see for your family, because it does depend on your family circumstances. So encourage you to pop over to our website to see what that would look like for your family. And in Minnesota, that has not changed. And so that will be consistent for folks who maybe had applied previously or were utilizing the benefits previously.
Got it. And Josh has a second part to his question. He's curious whether folks can use SNAP and emergency food assistance like they would find at their local food shelves. And I think we can enthusiastically say yes. And I'll let you say more to that, Teresa, Allison, and Lisa.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the piece about SNAP is that it really is a supplement to the budget. And so we find that for folks, it does really help provide stability for a few weeks, but it is a supplement, which is a big reason why we are with No Kid Hungry in advocating for increasing that benefit for folks in this time that we're seeing increased need. But absolutely, people who are utilizing SNAP are encouraged to still go to their local food shelf if there's more that they need for their family. The Hunger Relief Network, our partners right here in our local communities are here to help families make sure they have everything that they need to provide.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. We've got a question from Terry, curious about whether SNAP benefits in Minnesota require in-person shopping. I think she's asking about whether delivery is available.
Right now, in the state of Minnesota, SNAP dollars do need to be spent in person. We don't have the flexibility to do online shopping, but I know that there has been a lot of conversation about being able to move forward with additional waivers that would support that. There's also some really cool community efforts happening where folks are organizing to say, I will be your designated shopper. And so if you've got questions about that for your local community or what those resources are, reach out to one of our SNAP specialists. Again, pop over to toharvest.org and we can get you connected to some of those additional resources as well.
That's great. So folks are standing in and doing shopping for maybe vulnerable SNAP recipients. Is this good?
Yeah, there's been some really cool efforts happening where groups have been saying, how can we support? What are the opportunities? Certainly people ordering online and paying in person at grocery stores, things like that. So that if folks are worried about leaving their home, not able to leave their home right now, that there's still an opportunity to be able to use those SNAP benefits. So again, contact a specialist, come see us at our website, and we can make sure that you're getting connected to those types of resources as well.
Lisa, would love to hear anything that you'd like to add to that.
Sure. So USDA has been rapidly expanding the SNAP online purchasing pilots and adding several new states a week. We are pushing and hopeful that this will become nationwide and in short order. There are also some other innovations that states are doing. For example, in Ohio, grocery stores are allowing people to order online and then drive up to pick up, and taking a POS system and scanning their SNAP EBT card at that point that the groceries are being loaded into the car, so they don't have to go into the store. So even without those waivers, there are some innovations that are being used in different communities.
Excellent. Sounds like people are getting creative, which is no surprise. Fantastic. Well, that brings us to the end of our questions. Thank you ever so much for joining us, panelists, and all of you who have tuned into the meeting this morning. We appreciate it so much. Reporters, if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at ecooper@toharvest.org. Thanks, everybody, so very much. Bye-bye.